7 proven ways to grow on social media. That's what we're discussing in today's video. And you might be going, Connor, you only have 1,000 subscribers on this channel. What do you know about growing social media? Well, just for a little bit of social proof, I have 300,000 subscribers on another channel about crypto. I have 30,000 subscribers on another channel about crypto. I have 10,000 subscribers on another channel about real estate. I have 500,000 subscribers on a random TikTok account I don't even use anymore. I have another 50,000 subscribers on a crypto TikTok channel. I have 50,000 on Instagram, and I've made millions of dollars online. That's not to brag, that's just to give you some social proof so I can prove to you that I can actually give you some tangible advice, right? And that advice is as simple as post more than you think. Consistency beats strategy early on. Stop with the nonsense ideation on all the different ways that you can game the algorithm. Do one thing. Change the word algorithm with human. It's just people watching your content. If the last piece of content you made didn't get any views, it's because people think it's shit. So make more content and get better at making content. Don't sit there with ideas over and over and over and over again. Have an idea, post it. 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 Talk about what you know, not what's trending. Authenticity always wins long term. Now that's also kind of a double-edged sword, or a double story here. Because you can actually talk about what's trending with a value proposition of what you know. So say there's some news event that everyone's talking about. You can use that news event as the hook to bring people in to talk about what you know. All right? I'm trying to think of an example off my head, but I'm struggling right now. But with that, you bring a certain authenticity to the story. And that's actually how I grew my crypto channels, right? Because I'm talking about a trending subject, which happens to be crypto, and it's news events. But those news events, I'm bringing my authenticity because I'm bringing you my opinion. I'm not just riding off the coattails of the news and saying exactly what the news is, but I'm also bringing my opinion to that news. So what you need to do here is you need to study retention. If you can keep people watching for 3 seconds, you're gonna grow fast, right? So that's getting them essentially through the hook. And this applies to long form and short form. So the hook, the title, the thumbnail are the most important things on all platforms, in my opinion, right? Title on YouTube, thumbnail, hook, probably in that order. The content itself does matter, but it's not important in comparison to those. You obviously don't want to be just providing absolute slop and drivel to people, but the most important things are how you can attract people and how you can keep them past the first 3 seconds. So you need to study what works. Now, I actually think it's quite interesting because I think what works is nuanced to each person, each platform, and it's not the same advice for everyone. In fact, it's different advice for everyone, and it's different advice for every platform. So what you need to do is, how do you figure out the fastest way? You post content, you stay consistent, and then you study that content, and you realize that the algorithm is just humans and interacting with your content. So if it gets low views, it's crap. So if you get what I call the outlier content, you'll see it on this channel right now. Depending on when you're watching this, you might be watching it the day I posted it. You might be watching it a year from now. But you'll see in this channel the outlier content, which you'll then see me reproducing multiple times, because I know that that struck something that works. So I'll take the idea, maybe it's the title, maybe it's the thumbnail, maybe it's the hook, and then I'll change the title, the thumbnail, the hook, but the concept will stay the same. And then I'll change maybe the body and the subject of the video, but I'll apply the same title or the same thumbnail or the same hook. And I'll keep doing this, and I'll keep trying new things. And every time I find the outlier piece of content in the new thing I try, I'll keep replicating it until I have basically like tens or hundreds of videos that I know work, and I can keep applying that to different times and different opinions and different news stories and all of that. And that's how I generate content. And that's why I basically have an unlimited source of content. You can also apply exactly the same thing to channels in your niche that you respect, that you see doing well. Find the outlier content and then create your own version of that outlier content. There's no need to reinvent the wheel. So you can also repurpose everything, right? One clip on TikTok is also a YouTube short, is also an Instagram. right? And the great thing is you'll find that content performs differently on different platforms. So I post one video on TikTok. That again auto posts onto one of my YouTube channels. It then auto posts onto my Instagram. And it might flop on TikTok, but do really well on Instagram. Or it might go really well on TikTok and then flop on Instagram. Did I say the same thing over and over again? Anyway, you get the picture, right? So in that, we do exactly the same thing, the outlier content. And then we reproduce the outlier content on the different platforms, and it just gives us this constant flow of ideas. Now, stop waiting for that viral moment. Aim to be valuable. Vanity follows trust. So guys, sorry, not vanity, virality. I've written out my notes for this and I can't even read it myself. Virality follows trust. Now, if you're selling a product, for example, you actually don't want to be viral because it can be a hindrance. I grew a TikTok channel to 500,000 followers, right, back like 3-4 years ago. And I built it in a niche that no one was going to pay me for anything because I was just talking about nonsense, right? I tried to sell stuff, never worked, never did. All I was basically providing entertainment, and no one cares. So you'd be much better off building a platform of 1,000 followers who were genuinely interested in what you had to say and wanted more from you than building viral content that serves only the purpose of entertainment, right? So try and provide value, and after value, you may get virality, but even if you don't, and you just get a few hundred views, imagine a few hundred people in real life who were listening to you, and you could sell something to them that made their life better, that made their life easier. That's how people are generating millions of dollars online. And I believe it all stems from providing actual value. How can you provide as much value to as many people as possible? You can create content that as many people as possible see. How do you get to the point where as many people as possible see your content? You post as much as possible. You stay consistent and you stick to a strategy. And guys, if you did those three things, you would outperform 99.9% of people in the whole world because nobody's consistent and everyone gets stuck on the details. So don't get stuck on the details. Subscribe to this channel, hear me yap every single day. And if you want to, there's links in the description that may interest you. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.